Hey everyone, Robert here, author of Expansion Mastery, the practical guide to living a fully engaged life. Are you ready to start living your life to the fullest? Are you ready and willing to transform yourself and your life from ordinary to extraordinary? Welcome, my friends, to the Fully Engaged Life. Welcome back to the show, everyone, and welcome to the sixth installment in this new series entitled, What the Heck is Meant By? Today's episode is going to focus on what the heck is meant by the term spirituality anyway. And just in case you don't remember, allow me to catch you up and remind you that these definitions that I'm presenting you with are meant to give you a solid, clear foundation from which to understand these things on your spiritual path. Now, I'm not saying that the definitions I'm presenting here are the one and only way to look at things, but what I am providing you with is a solid, clear, truthful foundation from which you can launch your own exploration into these spiritual terms and practices. So while I'm not saying that my way is the right way, I have taken these definitions from actual formal spiritual practices that have been around for thousands of years. I feel that this is incredibly important and able to avoid confusion in our practices. Likewise, it has become all too common today for many people to make up their own meaning and justify it by saying, well, this is what it means to me. Well, just because that's what it means to you doesn't make it correct. So these definitions of these spiritual terms that I'm presenting to you are not my opinion. They're not the way that I like to define them or what they mean to me. They are the way that they were transmitted to me through formal teaching. So this series has a couple of important purposes. The first is to impress upon you that it is a mistake to just make up any term or go along with what the popular definition of these terms are, especially if that is based upon not having to really make any effort in your practices or just to make you feel good. The second purpose is to provide you then with something solid and meaningful that you can use to launch your practices and your own exploration into both the knowledge and the experience of the spiritual path. All right, getting to today's topic, we are looking at what the heck is meant by spirituality. Now, when we look at these terms of spiritual and spirituality, they too, just like things like meditation and mindfulness, have been watered down and turned into corporate and new age buzzwords that mean just about whatever you want it to mean. The more that happens, the more diluted it actually becomes, and the farther away from the truth we end up, causing a lot of confusion and frustration in our practices. So let's explore this idea of spirituality. And we will begin by taking a look at a few things that it is not. Okay, spirituality is not religion. Many people argue this, but religion and spirituality are two very different things. Religion originally contained spirituality as part of it. But over the years, it has lost that part of itself as religion turned into big business. That big business cannot be supported if the people use the teachings to become self-empowered and awakened, because then they will no longer be needed, and that business will collapse. Likewise, spirituality has precious little to nothing to do with things like beliefs and faith. Spirituality is more about one's direct personal experiences in order to attain wisdom through knowledge and experience. Religion is often about worshiping, where spirituality is about becoming. Likewise, spirituality is not about crystals, pendulums, cards, and other New Age nonsense. For instance, crystals do not assist in our spiritual ascension, nor healing, just by laying a stone on your chakra. Nor does that have anything to do with spirituality. The New Age movement kind of hijacked the term spirituality in order to separate itself from religion so people would know the difference. But it has become such a watered down and convoluted system that it's basically worthless. And in some cases, it's worse because many of the things taught actually increase a person's depth of delusion and even increase things such as mental attachments, which are some of the very things we are trying to overcome and let go of within authentic spiritual practices. Okay, so let's start to take a look at what spirituality actually is. I would like to begin by offering a couple definitions. Okay, according to an online dictionary, spirituality is defined as, quote, the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things, end quote. Well, this is a fair enough statement. It is incredibly simplified. And we need to understand here that by human spirit or soul, what is actually meant is conscious awareness. So if you look a little more deeply at this statement, what is meant here by the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things actually means that it's concerned with such things as our conscious awareness and the realization that we are not our physical body or mind. So if we look at this in an exoteric fashion, physical things refers to physical things. Sports cars, fancy homes, yachts, whatever it is, right? Anything like that, any physical possession that you're worried about getting instead of working on yourself. So on the face of it, that's absolutely true as well. If we look at it in regards to the esoteric meaning, physical things here is regarding our identification with the physical body and the mind, because spirituality is about making sure that we realize that we are not our physical body or mind. I would like to continue with a few definitions provided by Merriam-Webster online. This dictionary defines spirituality as sensitivity or attachment to religious values, the quality or state of being spiritual, clergy, something that in ecclesiastical law belongs to the church or to a cleric as such. It's easy to see here that through Merriam-Webster, their definition revolves far more around religion than actual spirituality. Okay, so let's look for something a little better. If we look at spirituality, we might look at a definition that would be more precise as follows: the exploration through direct personal experience of authentic practices that allows one to engage, reconnect, or to remember their conscious awareness, their essence, their true nature. The result of spiritual practice is to become free of mind, become truly empowered through wisdom, and become mindful and awakened. To have the ability to act, to be, from their conscious awareness, and to have that conscious awareness act in unity with the body and mind. While understanding our true nature, conscious awareness, is simply doing the experiencing of this mental projection we refer to as reality. So maybe go back and listen to that a few times and see if that sinks in. See how it feels to you. See how it resonates with you. For when there is no dogma in a spiritual system, that definition is what we are left with. And that is the essence of spirituality. See, we need to have practices that lead us to the experience of engaging our conscious awareness. And this is why the mind practices, such as mindfulness, are so important, because they allow us to work with the mind in very specific ways that result in our ability to understand through our own direct personal experience how the mind works, and more importantly, how our mind works. And it is only once we have discovered that for ourselves, within ourselves, that we are then able to make those corrections and engage in future practices that will allow us to step outside of the mind and the ego. And it's that which allows us to open the door to directly engaging our conscious awareness. I put it very simply, where there is ego, there is the absence of essence. And what this means is that when we are identifying with the mind and the ego, that we are hearing all of those thoughts generated by the mind, primarily the subconscious mind, and from the ego, and that blocks us from accessing the information and communication from our essence, from our conscious awareness. So generally, when we are engaging the mind, we have separated ourselves from our conscious awareness. And this is why those types of practices are so incredibly crucial. I find it rather interesting as well that long ago, hundreds of years ago, or even 1,000 years ago, spirituality, even within religions, generally had to do with referring to the act of actually communicating or communing with spirits. And if we look at that today, these religions now stress upon their followers that the average person cannot do this. You need the clergy to do this. Very untrue. So I would like to explore a possibility, something for you to consider here in regards to this idea of spirituality as far as engaging with spirits or communing with the spirits. Because in reality, this doesn't mean that you sit and talk to ghosts or channel God or some kind of spirit or, your spirit guides or whatever. What it's referring to is your ability to plug into, to tune into the various energy frequencies of the energy field, the great energy field, what some people call the universe, source, the all, everything, whatever, right? So if we look at it in terms of energy, so if we were to sit and bring our mind to a point of silence and stillness, leaving behind the mind and entering no mind, Mushin, and once again reconnecting with our conscious awareness, we could place our vibrational frequency at whatever frequency would match the type of information we are seeking. Some systems refer to this as the Akashic records, right, which contain everything, all the information, everything that ever was, is, and will be. And in this regard, we could say that we are communing with the spirits. Another way to understand this is if you have looked at anything to do with Buddhism, you see that they have all kinds of different deity figures, right? Tons of deity figures in there. And if we look at those, the most common being Guanyin or Kenan, the god or goddess of compassion. This is not to be taken literally. The teachings do not say that this is a being that actually exists. It is a quality. It's like an archetype. It's a quality that we are trying to embody, that we want to emulate within ourselves. It's already part of ourselves. We have to connect to it vibrationally. So we set our vibration to compassion, to love. And then we are essentially channeling this deity of compassion, and suddenly we are filled with compassion. It seems that we in the West take all of these things very literally when they are being presented conceptually. Oftentimes, in the older religions or even the authentic spiritual systems, what these deities or gods or what have you are either archetypes for us or qualities of energy all around us in nature. They are not always to be taken literally as a figure itself. For many in the West, this seems to be very challenging for them. So take some time and ponder this sort of thing and come to know it for yourself. But the main thing here is to understand spirituality as a way of seeking truth. So there is no need for blind faith. There is no need to create far-fetched beliefs. Instead, you utilize authentic practices that will enable you to directly interact with and experience the truth for yourself. True spirituality leads to empowerment. It leads to elevated states of being, such as mindfulness, and of course, ultimately, awakening. It is the ability to know our conscious awareness, our true self. And these sorts of things can even include working with our internal energy as a way of assisting in our spiritual expansion. I feel it is important that we remain ever diligent and aware that this is the idea of real spirituality. This is what we are looking to engage when we decide to embark on the spiritual path. You will know when you're engaging these authentic practices, because it isn't that, oh, you feel so good, which you may, but it's not about that. It's about your ability to feel yourself expanding. You feel a sense of expansion as opposed to feeling a sense of constriction. Oftentimes, people report feeling a sense of this spiritual constriction happening when they engage in some formally organized big religion. Whereas when they engage true, authentic spiritual practices, they feel this sense of expansion and freedom. While others who engage in some of the New Age spiritual practices report that they feel kind of lost, a little spacey, like they don't even know what's going on. And some things feel good at the moment, but it never lasts. That's because no real transformation is taking place there. Nothing real is happening. But what may be even more dangerous is that with the New Age spiritual teachings, they lack something very important. They lack the ability for the practitioners to develop a moral compass and sense of true empowerment. And this is very dangerous for the individual and for societies as a whole. Through authentic spirituality, you will develop a very powerful moral compass. And it's really easy to understand. If we look at it in terms of energy and vibration, such as the chakras, we understand that when we are being honest and truthful and forthright, that those chakras tend to be far more open. And as soon as we lie or engage in some other harmful, dishonest act against someone else, those chakras close down. We can see this even with the physical body through kinesiology tests, where a human being actually becomes physically weakened when they are lying, and they regain their physical strength when they are telling the truth. And the fact of the matter, spiritually speaking, is that when your heart is truly open and you are indeed connecting to, acting in communion with your conscious awareness, you can't lie, cheat, steal, or harm someone else, because that will disconnect you from conscious awareness, because it is only the diseased mind that can have that sort of thought and intent. And remember, when we are engaging a mind, we disconnect from our conscious awareness. Likewise, you cannot lie, cheat, steal, or harm another when your heart center is actually truly open. So in real spirituality, a powerful moral compass is provided naturally by tuning into our conscious awareness, our essence, because at its core, it is the energetic vibration of love, joy, and appreciation. And when we live in a space of love, joy, and appreciation, that is when we are truly acting as a spiritual being. And it is this that sets the groundwork to allow us to live a fully engaged life. Please visit me at www.expansionmastery.com. Get your autographed copy of Expansion Mastery. You can also grab the newly revised and expanded ebook. Check out all the other goodies on the site. Also, do your best to help us on social media. Share these podcasts, like, subscribe, do all of that sort of stuff, and make sure that you share these podcasts with others. Together, we can make a difference with this consciousness shift. Until next time, my friends, I wish you the very best in your practices and your life. Take care.